Hey YouTube, today I wanted to go over some of my vaping hardware. I used to smoke cigarettes and I've recently cut down huge. I'm really trying to quit smoking cigarettes altogether because they're really bad for your health and they taste bad and they make you stink and I don't like them. So I switched to electronic cigarettes, and this is some of the hardware that I'm using. This is the hardware that I'm using right now. This is probably some of the best hardware I've been using. It's not the it's not a big tank system, and it doesn't use these huge batteries that you might see, which are really nice, but they're really expensive, and I don't plan on spending that much when cigarettes cost so much, and I don't want to spend that much. So what I have here is the battery. This is a battery. I bought it at Vape Dojo. I wonder if that's going to focus in. Probably not. But there's the Vape Dojo logo. And it's an Ego 1100 milliamp hour USB pass-through battery. And that's one of my favorite features of this battery. If you unscrew the bottom here, there's a little USB connection, and you can charge the battery, but you can also use it while it's charging, which is a really nice feature, and I really like that about this battery. It has a 510 connection, 510 atomizer connection, and you can also just get an adapter if you don't have a 510 atomizer. So yeah, when you push the button, a little light comes on to let you know that it's being used, and it's a really nice battery. I've had this tested out several times where it'll run just 8 hours straight of heavy usage. I'm quite a heavy vapor, and it's got a lot of time on it. Some of the other batteries I've had were really small. Hold on, I'll get one of the other batteries. So here's one of the other batteries. This is a 510. This is also a 510 connection right here, and this is a manual battery. This is from Halo. I really like their e-fluid. You can't quite see the logo right there, and push the button and the little light comes on, and this is a really small battery in comparison. This is like a cigar and this is like a cigarette when you compare the two. And this battery does not last very long. Maybe it lasts a couple hours, and it just I don't like it. Plus you have to charge it all the time. There's no pass through. I don't really like that. So I like this battery a lot, and I would recommend this battery. I don't remember the exact cost. Maybe it was around $16 or $17. Maybe it was a little more because I got the biggest battery that was available. And as for the voltage output, I'm guessing in the 3 volts, maybe a little higher, 3.1 or 3.2 volts. I'm not exactly sure. So when it comes to actually inhaling the vapor, you have to have an atomizer, a little heat element, and what I have here is just a drip tip atomizer. It's got a little drip tip on it, so you can drip the fluid right in there, and then the heat element is inside this piece right here, and you can also just drip it in there. But the drip tip is a nice mouthpiece, and then you just screw it on like this, and I'll take a couple vapes to show you what it looks like. Quite a smoky look to it, and it tastes really good. What I'm vaping is I thought that was closed. Is also from Halo. This is the Halo logo. It's menthol ice, and it's probably one of my all-time favorite flavors. So you can just drop the fluid in here, and I like the pure atomizers because they provide the most flavor. It's just a really pure hit. the fluid goes directly onto the atomizer, the heat element, and then the heat element vaporizes it into the mist that you see. And there's no middleman or anything, and it's a really good clean vape. Now I've also been using these clearomizers that I got from Vape Dojo, and this is the CE5 clearomizer. It has a 510 atomizer connection, and this is a really interesting device. I like it. I bought the color drip tip. This isn't the only one I have. I have a clear and black one, and I also have a red one. So this way I can have different flavors. Now these hold 1.6 milliliters of fluid, and it's really nice because it's kind of like a tank system, but it's not as expensive as tank systems can be. So I like these, but these have problems. This atomizer also has problems, so maybe I should go into some of the benefits, the pros and cons of each. This is really good. It has a nice throat hit, and it provides the purest flavor. Unfortunately, you have to keep dripping into it, and I find that really cumbersome. I have these little vials. These vials. I have a collection of these little vials, and you can just unscrew the top and put a few drops in there, and then get a vape. But that's not the only problem. The other problem is that this thing is wide open, and if you put these in your pocket, then junk is going to get in there, and that really lowers the life of these. These are supposed to last for 30 days, but I don't gauge by days. I gauge by about how many milliliters will run through one of these. As for these are really nice because you can put a whole 1.6 milliliters of fluid right in there and just vape it. They have a really nice O-ring seal. They have an O-ring seal here where you fill it. You can fill it here. They have an O-ring seal here. And one thing I really like about the CE5 is that the heat element is replaceable, and it's only like $1.99 to replace the heat element. So while this thing costs $6 right here, this is going to cost $6. The heat element is the replaceable part for $1.99, and I think that's a really good benefit to these. These are, I think, $5 or $6 each, and it can be really expensive. So in here I have a flavor I made from Gourmet Vapors, and this is probably my favorite flavor right now. It's Mead number 2. As you can see, there's not much left in there, and I'm gonna buy some more soon. That tastes delicious. So one of the biggest problems with these is that not all of them are completely sealed. Like my blue one tends to leak right around this edge, and I'm not sure where, and I'm not sure why. I'm pretty sure it has something to do with the O-ring here. That's part of the replacement process. The clear one and the red one don't leak, so I really think it has something to do with the bottom piece right here. But the other problem is the wick. I'm not sure what the wick is made out of, but it tends to mute the flavor. And in some instances where there's not much flavor to the fluid at all, like with menthol ice, there's really not much flavor to it. There's just a lot of menthol. It's just pure menthol flavor. So I guess it's not even just menthol flavor. It tastes like eucalyptus. It's so mentholy. Then you get the flavor of the wick more than the flavor of the fluid sometimes, and that can be really bad. It can lead to a really burnt taste, which isn't good at all. Another problem I've noticed with the CE5 Clearomizer is with darker fluids, they tend to caramelize, and it leads to a discoloration of the fluid, and then it also leads to a bad flavor when vaping. I'm pretty sure it has to do with the flavor caramelizing inside the wick, and then the wick, I don't know, I guess it just backs up and leaves behind a caramel, a burnt caramelization of the flavor inside the rest of the fluid, which leads to the discoloration and to a not pleasant flavor all the time. Now, Halo is from New Jersey. Everything they have is made in America. It even says on the label, "Made American made," and it's made in USA. So I'm a big fan of Halo, and I'm a really big fan of their fluids. They have some really good e-liquid flavors. I really like Turkish tobacco. I like Midnight Apple, and of course their menthol ice. And they have a pretty good selection of fluids. Unfortunately, they don't have really good hardware right now. Their gear is pretty bad, I think. When it comes to duration, the duration doesn't last long. You get maybe a couple hours of battery life, and it's really disappointing, to be honest. Unfortunately, it's disappointing. The good news is they're coming out with a tank system. Now, I don't know much information about the tank system, but I'm really interested in the Halo tank system and what that's going to amount to. This is kind of like a tank system, but I would like Halo to provide a really good tank system. When it comes to a budget or a beginner, I think the CE5 is a really good starter tank system. It has a really good seal on it most of the time, and the fact that you can hold 1.6 milliliters, and the fact that it's really cost effective to replace the heating element makes me think that for a beginning vapor, this is a good place to go. And as for this battery, I really love this battery. You're not going to get the high voltage that you might get, say, through a USB pass-through, but I don't think you really need it. I have a low ohm heat element in here. It's got 1.8 ohms, and I think that does just fine. As for the straight atomizer with the drip tip, I wouldn't recommend it anymore. If you're just going to use it to taste flavors, that's great. It does have the best flavor to it. However, it's kind of problematic that you have to drip it and stuff can get in it, and it's not. I wouldn't say it's the best for a beginner. Still vapes really nice. So that's my e-vaping hardware, my electronic cigarette vaping hardware, and I would recommend some of these things for some people, not all people. I'm really happy with that battery. It lasts a really long time, and I love the fact that I can use it as a pass-through and just connect it to my computer and run it like that. I definitely think people who do smoke cigarettes should look at e-cigarettes. There's a lot of flavors to them. You can vary the nicotine, and it's a lot healthier. If you ask me, it's a lot healthier than smoking cigarettes. I've been smoking cigarettes for a really long time. I just find that not only do I breathe easier, but I don't have all of the negative side effects from smoking cigarettes, like the coughing, the bleeding, all the chunks, the lung chunks. So yeah, I'm definitely an e-cigarette smoker from now on. Well, I hope that was an informative video. Um, Maybe you want to switch to an e-cigarette. I would definitely recommend it. If you do smoke and you're looking for a starting place, Vape Dojo and Halo e-cigs is a good place to go. I would say go to Halo for the fluid and go to Vape Dojo for the hardware. They got some really nice hardware, and get a good battery. Spend a little more on your battery because you're going to use it the most, and get one with a long life. It's measured in milliamp hours, and I would say 1100 milliamp hours is a good battery. Let me get one more vaping here before I end this video. Haha. See ya.